So I started getting harassed around the time of the royal wedding. The moment that people knew I disagreed with some things about my sisters.
I grew up as an only child, and I wished I had siblings.
It's like everything. It's lie upon lie upon lie.
Hello to all my gorgeous, good-looking friends. You are tuning into TRG's series covering the Markle versus Markle defamation lawsuit. If you are new to the channel, welcome. For those who are returning, thank you for coming back and supporting my work. I'm always grateful to have this like-minded community to discuss the beloved royal family and the cultural impact of its members on society, particularly in America. Okay, before I get into this, let me just put the disclaimer. I am not a legal expert. I am simply just reading what's in the public court files and giving my interpretation and observations / opinions. Please do your own research and come to your own conclusion. Just a quick but major update to the Markle versus Markle court case, in which yesterday Samantha's team had filed a notice of serving Meghan with the request for discovery, meaning, as it says here, serving plaintiff's response to defendant Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex's request for production, and plaintiff's response to defendant Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex's request for answers to interrogatories. Now, we all know that Meghan is going to drag her feet on this one, but discovery, as it stands now, is due on May 3rd, 2024, 58 days from the time of this recording. If I had to guess, Meghan is going to wait till the very last moment before she turns over anything to Samantha. At this moment in time, we're still waiting for the judge to come back and give a response on Meghan's motion to dismiss, whether or not if it will be approved or denied. So I could see her lawyers responding in the same manner, the way they did the first go around, in which they replied that Meghan will object each request on the grounds that there is a pending motion to dismiss on now the third amended complaint, seen here back in April of 2023 on ECF number 74. To get an idea of how douchey Meghan's team will be, let's take a look at the first go around, because I'm sure some of those questions that were asked are going to be asked again. And I have no doubt that the same generic answers that Meghan's lawyers applied will apply again in order to not only frustrate Samantha's lawyers, but also delay. And that's what they seem to be doing here. I foresee that this is going to be an exercise in wasting Harry's money. So what we're going to see now in some of these questions when Meghan finally decides to respond will be more about the Netflix mockumentary as well as the Oprah Winfrey tell-all sit-down of lies. We won't be seeing any of the questions that were asked about finding freedom, because the whole reason why this is now its third amended case is because of taking out finding freedom. So some of the questions that were asked last time, I'm sure will be asked, but more relevant to now focusing on Oprah Winfrey, the communication between that, as well as now bringing into Netflix. Let's take a look at some of the questions that I think might stay in and review how Meghan's team responded. Well, for starters, I have no doubt that Meghan's team are going to put forward a set of general objections to all the questions, which is what she did last time. And then they will give little nuggets. And let's take a look at what I mean by that. So in this question, Samantha's team asks, at any point in time, did you live with any of your siblings, half-siblings, or step-siblings? If so, please list names of the siblings, half-siblings, or step-siblings with which you lived and the periods of time which you had lived together, and the period of time you did not live together. So Meghan's team responds with its general statement that starts off every answer. But then this is quite interesting. The last line, inasmuch as whether parties shared a residence before Meghan's living memory does not tend to establish the existence of a familial relationship 35 years later. Now, if you could remember, these responses were so ridiculous because it was all about Meghan's feelings. Forget about facts. We're now going off of feelings and what she interpreted as, her recollection. And assuming now we're going to use this recollections may vary, all of a sudden now Meghan completely has blocked out the fact that Samantha was the one who was taking her to the mall, to school, helping her with homework, It's one thing to say that you don't have a familiar relationship with someone after 35 years, but it's another thing to take proactive steps to maliciously harm this person that you so-called don't have a relationship with. This next question hopefully will be included again because it truly will mess her up. As it says, please state whether or not you have ever spoken out in defense of the plaintiff after seeing the public scrutiny, hatred she has received from your fans. If you have, please explain in detail all efforts you made to defend or help Samantha Markle. If not, please explain the reasons why you have not defended, supported your half-sister. This response that Meghan's team gave the first time around is not going to hold up if they decide to use it again, because there's a lot more evidence that's out there now showing the connections between Meghan being behind a lot of this campaign against her sister. So Meghan further objects that this request is vague and ambiguous as to the hatred plaintiff is referring to. So she's playing stupid when she knows fully well what is being talked about. Now, the defense here is putting it back on the shoulders of Samantha in the fact that she didn't mention that it was Meghan's job and duty to speak up. I don't think Meghan's lawyers have done her any favor, because essentially what they're saying here is that Meghan doesn't know the difference between right and wrong or common decency. Now, if Meghan's lawyers are going to think that this is a good idea to use this excuse that Meghan didn't have an obligation or duty to speak on behalf of her own sister and do the right thing, well, I think Samantha's lawyers could challenge it back, because in the same Oprah interview, let's not forget when she sat there and told Oprah that, oh, the palace was willing to lie for Catherine, but they wouldn't tell the truth for her. Well, listen, if we're going to use this logic, the palace had no obligation to speak up on behalf of Meghan. The palace also had no obligation to shut down any of the rumors or truths that were being leaked out that Meghan and Harry wanted to get taken down. We know that they were obsessive about that. Now, this question I think needs to be kept in. Have you ever requested that any member of the royal family public relations team write stories about the plaintiff or initiate negative press about the plaintiff? If so, please list the date of the request, the content of the request, to whom the request was addressed, whether you received any confirmation of receipt of such a request, and state whether the request was verbal or in writing of any form, indicating exactly what form, such as a text or email. At the time, this question was written in hopes to discover more about Finding Freedom, but I think it's very much related now to the Netflix mockumentary because of the communication that Meghan had with Samantha's daughter, Ashley, about not going to the wedding. So it would be interesting to find out now the communication surrounding the wedding and what Meghan was telling the palace about why none of her relatives could show up. So, of course, Meghan's objection that the term Royal Family Public Relations Team is vague and ambiguous. Meghan further objects that to the extent plaintiff Samantha is seeking to bolster her defamation claim by discovering evidence of some unknown wrongdoing, no, it is to show that, yes, she's right all along, that there is a team that was dedicated to Meghan, as she has admitted in the past on record, that it's unwarranted and a fishing expedition. Well, the whole point of discovery is to make sure that the claims being brought forward could be substantiated. If Meghan had nothing to worry about, then there shouldn't be any kind of pushback. But of course she does, because she knows that she was up to no good. Now, the end of this response is quite telling, in my opinion. It says the request seeks information about other unknown communications with the royal family public relations team, as they might bear on unknown negative press about the plaintiff. Something tells me that there is more stuff that Meghan internally communicated with the so-called royal family public relations team that she doesn't want to get out. I mean, it's not just about Finding Freedom, I would suspect. I think it's important that this go around that the question is updated to reflect not only the royal family public relations team, but also Meghan Markle's personal public relations team. It is a well-known fact that Meghan kept her PR people working with her while she was a working royal. So there's no doubt that it's not only communication with the palace, but I am sure people like Sunshine Sachs has a trove of information on the Markle family. I think this next question hopefully made it into the new list for Meghan to answer, in which they asked, were you aware that the plaintiff, Samantha, was forced to seek and obtain an injunction for protection against stalking in Polk County, Florida, against one of your fans? If so, please state whether you ever reached out to the plaintiff, Samantha, your blood sister, upon discovering this injunction. So, of course, Meghan's response is the general blanket objection, but it goes further into saying, Meghan further objects that this request assumes numerous facts, namely that plaintiff Samantha was forced to seek an injunction, that such an injunction was granted and then renewed, that the purported stalker was a fan, that any alleged stalking was in any related to the purported stalker's status as such, and that Meghan was aware of plaintiff's synonymous Florida state court proceedings. Talk about douchiness. Meghan further objects that this request seeks information that is not relevant to any party's claim or defense, inasmuch as Meghan was under no legal duty to reach out to the plaintiff, Samantha, her blood sister. Once again, Meghan can play stupid and say that she really wasn't involved in following what was going on in the media with her sister, but you can bet that she had people following it for her. So, as much as Meghan likes to keep her hands clean and not be involved, she has other people doing the dirty work for her and updating her as needed. You can bet on it. If there's anything that we've learned about Meghan and Harry is that they do everything by proxy. So as much as they say they had nothing to do with it, you know how Harry put that in writing in an email, guarantee that they could wash their hands the same way that they washed their hands with Omid Scobie's book, Endgame. No, they had nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, Omid Scobie's sitting in Hollywood hotels waiting for packages of handwritten paper coming from anonymous sources. Wink, wink. I'm sure Meghan and Harry have learned a thing or two about paper trails since the court case in 2021. Now, we can be fairly confident that this question definitely made it in this round, where it says, please explain the reasons why you believe the plaintiff, Samantha, only changed her name back to Samantha Markle when you started dating Prince Harry. So, of course, the response has the general objections blanket statement, but then further goes into saying, Meghan further objects that this request assumes facts, namely that plaintiff formally changed her name when Meghan started dating Prince Harry. Meghan further objects that this request seeks information that is not relevant to any party's claim or defense. Well, I'm sorry, Meghan, you don't agree with that, but you specifically said that Samantha Markle changed her name only, that little word is going to come back and bite you every single time, only when you started dating Prince Harry. And it's just so convenient that your response omits that little important word. So right here, we see your manipulation. We see how you're going to try and twist this and bend this to make it seem like, yeah, it's not really fact. It's how I felt. Well, you know what? No one cares about your feelings. The fact is you said it. And that is what's going to get you. You may disagree, Meghan, but you are in the wrong. Also, something to point out, if Meghan wasn't keeping tabs on her sister, then how would she know that Samantha Markle changed her name back to Markle only when she started dating Prince Harry? Obviously, she had been keeping some track of her, so playing stupid and not knowing what was going on with your own fans is not going to work. We all know that Meghan and Harry have openly supported and thanked and acknowledged these vile human beings who have, on record, in maliciously going after people and jeopardizing their physical safety, including Samantha. That is a fact. Now, I do believe that the real downfall of Meghan and Harry is not going to come from this Megxit community who just are talking about the truth and exposing the lies. It's going to come from those vile Sussex squad members who have maliciously put out threats and have been terrorizing so many people. Technically, that is criminal here in the United States as domestic terrorism. Anyhow, those were just some of the questions that were asked the first time around. I can see Meghan's team being exactly the same this next round. It's going to be like pulling teeth to get information out of her. But I think what is important is if Samantha's team talks to the external people, because we all know Meghan and Harry will do their very best to make sure that this goes away. And they will throw whoever they need to throw under the bus, and you can guarantee that there will be lies mixed in along the way. And this is just my opinion here. On what I've observed over the last 6 years, I do believe that Meghan and Harry feel that there will be no consequences for them. I do think that they feel they are invincible and nothing will happen to them. There still is a chance that this case will get dismissed. The judge still has to rule back on Meghan's motion for dismissal. Meghan is going to hold out until that verdict comes in. And we're working with 60 days left before discovery is due. So hopefully in the next 60 days, at some point, the judge makes her decision on this. From looking at the schedule, I do think we're going to hear back from the judge any day now, because the next milestone to come up is next month, April 26th, for the mediation. So my question for you guys is, yes, if this judge says the motion to dismiss is denied and it is moving forward, do you think Meghan is going to do her best to try and settle this with her sister and seek some type of reconciliation? Or do you think Samantha is going to say, no dice, we're going all the way, because this is more than just money. This is about restoring reputation, and this is about shutting down all the lies and damage that these two continue to keep doing? Many of you know from the very beginning, I've always said that this case must move forward because it's so much bigger than it being just about defamation. And the reason why this needs to get to discovery is because of the various players that are involved here that are part of a bigger situation that I have been talking about on this channel. So let's hope we get there. In the meantime, if you want to catch up on what has been going on with this case, definitely check out the playlist that I put together. I've been covering this from the very beginning. And definitely share your thoughts below. What do you think is going to happen? I know that we're all hoping for this to move forward because it's about time that justice is served. You can't keep getting away with all this bad behavior and being rewarded for it through more opportunities and a global platform to corrupt more people. I just don't think that that's the society any of us want to live in, where people like that exist and are allowed to get away with it. That's just my humble opinion. I am committed to continuing to report on this case because it's necessary. Also because we know that the Sussex PR machine is going to spin all kinds of things, and Samantha doesn't have that kind of support. So who has to do it? It's going to be down to us to keep the facts straight, as well as to make sure that Samantha's side also gets told. So for those that are interested in following this case, please don't forget to subscribe and turn that notification bell on and like this video so it can reach more people. And finally, something I want to point out, over the last day, the Sussex Squad have been suspiciously active in trying to make the point that they are this faceless group that is there to support Harry and Meghan. As you can see here, Mayhive and whoever this person is that has posted who is the Sussex Squad, there's a clear deflection or separation from Harry and Meghan being supportive of this group, almost as if they're doing this on their own because they are such good people and there's no incentive for them. Well, yet to be seen, but I do think possibly Meghan being served could have something to do with now all of a sudden these Sussex Squad members trying to make themselves look like angels, right? I mean, even recently, I think yesterday or the day before, there was an article talking about how vicious these vile people are in posting about Catherine. So is it tied to that? Who knows? But I do think that there's some type of cleanup going on at this moment because of this court case. But anyhow, what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.